Welcome to another Think Differently episode. Today's guest is a results driven executive coach, a leadership development expert, and author of the new published book, Mommytracked, Dr. Sohee Jun. We will talk about values, we will talk about the mommy balance myth, we will talk about seasons, and you will learn how to incorporate your values into your everyday practice. And the cool part is you don't have to be a mommy to learn all this stuff, right? I'm not a mommy, but I'm definitely learning from Sohee and all the insights she brings in her book. So with that, let's not keep her waiting. She's out in the waiting room. Let's go get her. Sohee, nice to see you again. Welcome to Think Differently episode. I'm excited for today. We have something very special to talk about. So
Yes.
before we get to it, how are you doing? How's times and what have you
It's
been
been
up?
a good week. It's been a good week, and I'm so excited to be back. We had a great conversation the first time, so it's always nice being with you.
Absolutely. The last time we talked, it was in person, and now we have to do it virtually. I would have loved to have our conversation where we talk about Mommytracked here. I already started reading
Yay!
it. So I would have loved to have done it in person. And when we did it in person, we were still talking about your journey in writing the book. You were working on it, and you gave people a teaser about it. But now it's out, so everyone should go get it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a mommy, obviously,
Right.
but the things you talk about are they really like they apply to everyone. They apply to everyone, and I think it's so valuable. But I really want to learn more about your journey there. So let's start with tell the audience about Mommytracked.
Yes, and I thank you for making the point that you're getting things out of it. And really, what Mommy Tracked is about is for anybody that really wants to do what is their own unique thing. So if you've ever felt like, ugh, there's got to be something else, or you have this kind of voice inside of you that's like, I know this isn't it. And I think you're smiling because a lot of people resonate with that. That this book is about that and really geared towards highly ambitious women who I've, coached through the years of my career. And time and again, I feel like there's something else I should be doing. And so it's really helping them take that voice and hone in on it, define what that is, and take action to live it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's been a journey. And as I started reading the book, I know a little bit about your journey, right? But I think it's important to highlight one of the big things that I took from the book, which is a myth. There's this big myth out there, right? And so you specifically call it out. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about this mommy balance myth. What is that, and how can people debunk it?
Oh gosh, I even hate the word balance. So what I'll say out the bat is it's such an old term, balance, mommy balance. It's used all the time and it's so ingrained and it's pervasive. It's everywhere. And I think one of the things the examples that I show in the book is that at conferences, when there's a woman on a panel, I'm a betting person, Abraham. Next time you go to a panel, see if they ask this question. How do you do it all? And that is the question that gets asked every woman because there is this understanding or kind of that we should be doing it all. We should be having a career. We should be balancing at home. We should be making the meals, being at all of the important things in school, and also rocking it at work while being super healthy and fit, right? So notice that I'm saying shoulds because it is all of these things that the messages that we get as women who are highly ambitious. And really it's about debunking that and again, tuning into what is unique and true for you in terms of the priorities and the values that are important in that season. And by the way, Abraham, the goal or the There is no endpoint of mommy balance. It's ever elusive. The goalpost keeps moving. You're continuously chasing it all the time. And guess what? There's burnout. So there's so many women out there who, who I've been one. I felt fatigue. I felt all of these kind of stressors in my life trying to chase that balance, and it just doesn't exist.
Chase.
Yeah.
even that word, it's, for you, you're like, balance. To me, it's like balance and chasing. When you chase something, it's a matter of time before you get tired. And out there, I've, heard a lot of people say, and someone, coaching me once said, don't worry about the chase. Instead of giving up, learn to find what's good for you. And how do you integrate all the craziness that you have to get done in the mix of responsibilities, accountabilities, and all these shoulds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fascinating because it leads to this burnout real quick. And then I in here, I also saw there's guilt and comparison. There's
Yes.
a powerful phrase that you use in here, and I just want to quote you because I want to make sure I get it right. Here's what you said. More than that, we judge each other and do the compare game, right? That's huge.
And it is such a game. It is. We're all caught up in it. We do it consciously. We do it unconsciously. And it's kind of ingrained in us. And some of that is human nature, right? Because we want to see where we are in comparison to like peers. But really what that does is that moves us further and further away from our inner wisdom about what we want to do. And it's only when you let go of that game and you have the courage to tune into your own voice and what that is saying to you, that's when things start to come alive.
Yeah. And the comparison often happens that I see it a lot with like genders compare each other. And it's specifically here, right? When you're talking about Mommytracked and in the journey of what I've been paying attention to more, your book, by the way, has activated my level of awareness with clients and situations. I'll see like people say certain things, like someone showed up, like there's a Zoom fatigue, right? And someone showed up and then someone made a comment like, oh, you didn't do your hair today. I was like, I didn't say anything, but in my mind, I was like, why is that even important? Why does that matter? The work is still being done. What this person said is still quality. Like, who cares? And so,
can I say that what you just shared in that example, those are what I call the little micro messages that build up to this overall should, and this thing that we need to balance how we look, how we show up even on Zoom, that we need to be fit and smart and athletic and a good mom and a good friend and a good, the list could go on. And I love that example because it's subtle. It's subtle.
Yeah. And it's also a bit of a double edge, meaning this. So as a female, you're encouraged to be empowered, right? And I'm going to use air quotes here. But I also see that to a limit, because if you're too aggressive or if you're too assertive, now you're just the B word. If you're too like opinionated, then you're just nagging about things. And that's so unfair because like other people wouldn't be seen that way, right? And it's so dumb. Like all these micro messages that get reinforced all the time.
All the time. And guess what? It's very gender specific. Right. So my guess is that you have a different experience should you put messages or be very proactive about what you're doing. Right. On the flip side, most of us women, when we're very assertive, hey, I got an Amazon bestseller here, that comes with guilt. Should I? Oh gosh, I'm too assertive. Maybe I should play down my message. Right. And so there's a lot of that layering. And so I'm asking people to strip that away. And there's a lot of fear with stripping things away. When you're getting to your raw nature of what calls you, and if the life of a corporate thing is your thing, great. But if it's something else, it's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. The piece on guilt and maybe being a little bit ashamed of how, if you're a parent or a mom, and you pay too much attention to one thing, maybe you feel guilt that you're not spending enough time on the other one. But, and I could only feel that coming from you or reading it. So I want to ask this: how can someone, based on your journey, have it all and not feel this like need to balance things? What does it look like to have it all?
I love that question. So what that looks like is you start from a place of values. So really getting clear on what in this time of my life, because we all have seasons. In this time, what do I value? Is it I need absolute family time? And you know what? My career is second in that list.
Yeah.
Then you lead with that and then determine the priorities. So family time to me means I absolutely have to make it for dinner. Then you know what?
Right.
Lead with that and integrate that into your life and let all the other things go that you've added that are shoulds.
Yeah.
Strip away the shoulds, get real clear about the values and the priorities, and find ways to integrate that into your life. So
Ooh,
that's
that's good.
that's
That's
it.
good. That's good. Uh, and I recently posted something about values, and the things that I post about are generally things that I care about, and hopefully it helps people in the process. And right now, what you just talked about with values, what I gathered was when I shared my post, it was around I try to feed my values day to day because at the end, that's how I feel energized and empowered. And I feel like I have more drive. Doesn't matter how complicated things get. If I deviate from that, then I feel drained. I feel like I don't have purpose and lack of meaning. But I want to get to this question, which is how can someone find values? Because in what I've sensed is that they're sometimes difficult to find, or they're difficult to pinpoint for individuals. And they're like, well, that's great, but how do I know what they are? How do I know what these values are? And you
Yeah,
have some in your book. So can you share what
I
those,
do.
how does
Yeah.
some, like, yeah, how does someone find them and what are some examples?
Yeah, and I love that you shared that because it's kind of elusive, like values. We talk about values all the time. So what does that really mean? Well, there's two ways that I identified that you can really hone in on values. One, I have a list on my website. So it's www.soheejunphd.com. Under resources, you can pull up a list, and I want to say there's probably 60. And as you go through the list, it's really about checking off those things that just give you energy and lights you up. So that's my guide, which is as you're going through it, what do you like? Oh yeah, what gives you like that energy, and check it. And then it's a matter of whittling down that list because you might start big. Of the 60 values, you might identify 20, but really getting crystal clear through the iterative process to come to no more than 3 to 4 values. That's hard. It is hard, but then it allows you to get super clear about what's important to you. Again, in this season of your life. And the other way that I suggest is if you're not a list person, there's a visual way to do it. And I love this because it gets to my creative side, which is doing a board, typically known as a vision board, but it's
Mhm.
less about the vision and more about the aggregate of what comes out of the pictures. So you can
Right.
get a board, cut out all these pictures that you resonate with, and group it into themes and see what comes up. So for
Yeah.
mine, I do one. Spirituality is in the center because it's a value of mine. It's very important. Health comes out. I have all these pictures around health, work, and family. So those are the values to me that I lead with. So
Yeah.
there's 2 different ways to do that.
That's powerful. And for those of you that didn't capture the website, it'll be included in the link so you can go directly to it and have access to those resources. Now, let's shift directions a little bit. And I'm gonna ask this question, but it's gonna bring us to a close because I don't want to give away your whole book. I want people to go buy your book and get that, promoted out there.
Yes.
Let me ask you the question. Okay, so let's say that people have identified their top three values, right? Of a list of 60, they're like, these three are good.
Mm.
Now, okay, what can people do about it? What can they do about these values? How do they not balance them, but instead integrate them? What are some examples or recommendations you have for that?
Yeah. So what I recommend then is that people look at the week in the life of themselves. So
Okay.
literally map out what does their week look like what meetings are they in? How do they spend their spare time? Who are they spending it with? What are the hobbies, if there are any? So just literally listing that out for them so they have a realistic view.
Yeah.
And then see if any of those values and activities that are incorporated with the values are integrated into that week. And if not, I suggest that people look at what is an activity that is linked to that value that I can start integrating, and then what can I take off, right? It's not about filling and jamming more, but you definitely have to take off those things that are not aligned to that value. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That last piece resonates with me a lot. It's earlier on in my career, when I integrated values into the things that I did, if I moved something, I felt guilty about it. I felt like, am I not feeding this? But what you just talked about with seasons, it's okay. It's okay. Like maybe right now I don't have to. And by the way, who says that I have to? If me personally are not aligned with it, why am I forcing myself to this thing that no one has told me should or has to be, right? So I strongly love that piece on knowing that it's okay to shift priorities. It's okay to move in seasons, just like in seasons in the world, right? Like sometimes it's really hot when it's not in season, or it's really cold or rainy when it's not in season. That's okay. You go with it. You adjust. So,
yes, and we adjust to that. And so we should look at our lives in that way. And I'll be honest, I was very stuck on that of, I'm on a path, I have to stay on the path. That does us a disservice. So really looking at the fluidity of life and our values.
Love it. Okay, well, let's bring this to a close. And the last thing really I want to ask here is, how can someone find your book, and how can they find you if they want to learn more?
So my book is on Amazon, and they can search it by my name. So Sohee Jun. I'm also, you're going to share my website. I'm on LinkedIn, Sohee Jun, as well as Instagram. I'm everywhere. So it's easy to get a hold of me.
I love it. I love it. Sohee, thank you so much for today. Again, I learned something new about myself, about you, about the journey of us in this world. I thank you so much. And for those of you out there in the community that don't have the book yet, go out, go buy it, connect with Sohee. She's amazing. She'll talk to you about anything. She's great. With that, we thank you here so much. And the last thing I want to say is, if you want to be different, you have to think different. Until next time, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.